Hi, I am Kayla. Ooh. Welcome back to my channel. I am in my feelings because I did just record an entire video for like an hour, and I apparently recorded it both in slow motion and without sound. And as tempted as I am to just use it anyway, somehow, I can't do it. So, we're gonna live to fight another day. I'm going to show you the 5 books that I'm going to try a chapter on. I'm not going to take, it's fine. We're going to try a chapter. These are the books. They're great. And I'm going to tell you about each one of them. But first, I'm going to try them out. Or should I try them all? Should I tell you about each one and then try them out? Full disclosure, I've already read the first chapter of all of these books, obviously. I don't like to read a book after reading the back of the book. That's just, what is all that sound? It's just not a thing I really enjoy. But the reason that I want to do this is because, number one, I haven't done a try a chapter in a while. Number two, I haven't done a 5-star predictions in a while. And number 3, I have not read from my 5-star predictions in a while. And so I thought this would be fun. And I already do have a few books picked out for my August TBR, but I thought it could be cool to potentially add 1 or 2 of the books I'm trying out today to my August TBR so that I have something to jump into should that be something I would like to do. I don't know. That's what I was thinking. So we're going to go with it. And we're going to start off with Writers and Lovers. Writers and Lovers by Lily King. I'm excited about this one because I've been seeing Heart the Lover everywhere. I think that like recently came out within the last couple of months. And I really want to read that, but I told myself that I can't buy it until I read this one. So I'm going to read this one first. Right now it's just about figuring out when I'm going to read it. So let's try a chapter and then I'll tell you what it's about.
Tell me all your secrets you hide inside. I tell you all of my feelings I have in my mind. Growing in circles, it goes on and on.
So something that came up for me when I was looking at this book was this idea of how relatable a lot of what she's talking about is to me, at least. And this is Casey, how relatable Casey feels to me. I do think this will come up a lot for me in this stack of books I'm looking at. I think it's all going to be a little bit relatable. What can I say? So I guess I'll just tell you what the book's about. So it says, blindsided by her mother's sudden death and wrecked by a recent love affair, 31-year-old Casey Peabody arrives in Cambridge, Massachusetts in the summer of 1997 without a plan beyond a determination to live a creative life. Written with King's trademark humor, heart, and intelligence, this is a transfixing novel that explores artistic passion, ambition, and the terrifying and exhilarating leap between the end of one phase of life and the beginning of another. Writers and Lovers is an unforgettable portrait of an artist as a young woman. Something that I thought was crazy was that the person who she's like renting a room from asks her like how her writing is going, and then literally says to her, I just find it extraordinary that you think you have something to say. So I definitely hope that she proves him wrong, because like what a turd, like what an awful thing to say. But okay, next we're gonna go with Riley Sager's With a Vengeance. This one I'm excited about as well because when I read Middle of the Night last, I want to say it was fall, but maybe it was winter, and my husband got me this one as a like, "Ooh, you read one" kind of situation after I read Middle of the Night, which was a library book. And so I'm excited to read this one because I do think that Riley Sager, if it's not out already, has one coming out, I feel like in August. And if I am in the mood again, why not? Why not give it a go? So let's take a look at it, and then I will tell you what it's about.
And all of the things that I say to you, I feel like you take it and leave it behind. It's hard to find no more reason I wanna rewind. 'Cause baby, I'm done going through phases of loving you, running out. I've been losing you, baby. When I do, I'll be your boy. I'm coming to terms with not having you running out.
This sounds really good, which is not surprising. It's Riley Sager. I say that like I've read all of the books, but it just feels like the right thing to say. It says, in 1942, 6 people destroyed Anna Matheson's family. 12 years later, she's ready for retribution. Under false pretenses, Anna has lured those responsible for her family's downfall onto a luxury train from Philadelphia to Chicago, an overnight journey of 13 hours. Her goal? Confront the people who wronged her, get them to confess their crimes, and deliver them into the hands of the authorities waiting at the end of the line. Justice will at last be served. But Anna's plan is quickly derailed by the murder of one of the passengers, and the train barrels through the night. As the train barrels through the night, it becomes clear that someone else on board is enacting their own form of revenge, and that they won't stop until everyone is dead. With time running out before the train reaches its destination, Anna is forced to hunt the killer in their midst while protecting the people she hates the most. In order to destroy her enemies, she must first save them, even if it means putting her own life at risk. That sounds good. That sounds pretty good. I like it. Let's do Margot's Got Money Troubles. Margot's Got Money Troubles. So we'll read, and then we'll talk about what it's about, and it'll be a good old time. I first want to say that I like the little thing that the narrator, whatever, does, where they're like, you're going to read this book, you're going to feel a little overwhelmed because there's some names to remember, but in the end, it's going to be the good time you were hoping for. I like that. Okay, this looks good. I do want to avoid some of the spoilers, so I'll read some of the back cover of this, but for my own sake, because I want to read this book, I'm not going to read the entire back cover. So it says, as a child of a Hooters waitress and an ex-pro wrestler, Margot Millet's always known she'd have to make it on her own. So she enrolls at her local junior college, even though she can't imagine how she'll ever make a living. She's still figuring things out and never planned to have an affair with her English professor, and while the affair is brief, it isn't brief enough to keep her from getting pregnant. Despite everyone's advice, she decides to keep the baby, mostly out of naivete and a yearning for something bigger. Now at 20, Margot is alone with an infant, unemployed, and on the verge of eviction. She needs a cash infusion, fast. When her estranged father, Jenks, shows up on her doorstep and asks to move in with her, she agrees in exchange for help with childcare. And that's where I'm going to stop, because I almost saw something I didn't want to see, and I feel like it's going to get really interesting. And we don't want to get it interesting, and fully know what's going to happen. We don't want to do that. So we'll stop there. Okay. This is The Great Alone, which silly me, I thought this was a new publication, but I think it's probably just a new print, because this came out in 2018, but I've been seeing it on people's feeds lately, and so I think it's just new to me, because Kristen Hanna's having this huge resurgence. But yeah, let's take a look. Okay, crazy. But the only other Kristen Hanna that I've read was about Vietnam. The Women was about Vietnam. It was about like the people in Vietnam, people living in Vietnam, and like doing the nurse thing. And this one's about like a young family who, like, the dad comes home from Vietnam and like what's he like. And so this is interesting that the second book I potentially pick up from Kristen Hanna is another book concerning Vietnam. And just to tell you a little bit about what it's about, it says, Alaska, 1974. The Albrights are a family in crisis. They are alone, living off the grid in a harsh and unforgiving wilderness. Ernst Albright has come home from the Vietnam War, changed and volatile, and has made an impulsive decision to move his wife and daughter north to America's last true frontier. Cora Albright will do anything for the man she loves, even if it means following him into the unknown. 13-year-old Lenny, caught in the riptide of her parents' passionate, stormy relationship, has little choice but to go along, daring to hope this new land promises her family a better future. And I'm going to stop there because, again, I like to be surprised. Just a little taste. And so we'll see. And then lastly, we have Soldier Sailor by Claire Kilroy. And this has been something I've wanted to read for quite a long time. So I'm excited to look at it a little bit, see what it's about. And then I will make my 5-star predictions and we'll go from there. I just know I'm going to love this one. I just know I'm going to love it. This is about a mom. And okay, so Soldier Sailor takes readers deep inside the early days of motherhood. Exploring the clash of fierce love with a seismic shift in identity, Kilroy conjures the raw, tumultuous emotions of a new mother as her marriage strains and she struggles with questions of equality, autonomy, and creativity. Soldier Sailor is a tale of boundless love and relentless battle. A bedtime story to a son sailor recounting their early years together. Spending her days in baby groups, playgrounds, and supermarkets, Soldier doesn't know who she is anymore. She hardly sees her husband, who has taken to working late most nights. A chance encounter with a former colleague feels like a lifeline to the person she used to be but can hardly remember. Tender and harrowing, Kilroy's modern masterpiece portrays parenthood in all its agony and ardent joy. I feel like this and Margot's Got Money Troubles are like really, really poignant for me. I'm a poet, and in the workshops that I tend to take, I've been writing a lot more about like motherhood and like its trade-offs and like what it looks like and just parenthood in general. And there's something about reading about that experience that like feels validating, because like when you have a kid, you're like, oh, do I even have anything to say anymore? And like this, it just feels very validating. And so I'm into it. In terms of which of these I'm going to predict as 5-star possibilities for me specifically, I'm going to go with Writers and Lovers and Soldier Sailor, just because they feel like books that are specific to me, like in my experience, and to some degree, like in terms of writing, in terms of like how do you exist outside of this one identity that is probably one of your more important identities right now because you're keeping people alive. Like how do you nurture your creative side and do all of those things? I just feel like they're going to be 5-star predictions, and so these are the two that I'm going to add to my list of 5-star predictions. And the other ones I think are going to be really strong 4 stars for me. So what I'm excited for now is to let you see next week which one of these was added to my August TBR. And then also I'm excited to make a reading my 5-star predictions video in the near future. So I'll tag along to one of the other videos I made with 5-star predictions, and I'll read, 2 or 3 5-star predictions for this month in my TBR or for August. But yeah, if you want to see which one I picked for my TBR out of Soldier, Sailor, and Writers and Lovers, definitely watch my August TBR July Wrapped video that'll come out next week. And that's it, guys. Thanks so much for being here. This was take 2, but we got it done. And now I'm going to make a little thumbnail. So yeah. All right. One of those has got to work because I have 5% left in this camera. So again, thanks so much for being here. Let me know if you're reading any of these books or if you want to read any of these books. Let me know what your recommendations are, because I love getting recommendations. It's like my favorite thing. I feel like it's a love language, and I feel like that's all. So goodbye, and I'll see you in the next one.